Blessings, beloved. Jesus is the way and the truth and the life, and no man comes to the Father but through him. Amen. It was over, it's been a while now. I did a 15-day fast. I only used a small amount of honey and lemon juice at the start, I think, or towards the middle of the fast. And after that, it was just water. Something along those lines, but it was like I didn't eat any solid food for 14 days. I lost quite a bit of weight. But I remember after the fast, the body breaks down because you're losing muscle mass and that. It's not a biggie. It's not a big deal because you can replace the muscle mass that you've lost over time. But the benefits and the symptoms that I went through while I was on the fast were quite intense. But primarily, the benefits I felt after the fast, as I came out of the fast and was refeeding. And I've done, I think it was 20 plus days around that, water fast or juice fasting as well, where it's just juice. You're just juicing like carrots and sweet potatoes and things along that of that nature, and that's all you have. And I felt energetic, to say the least. Just energy in spades, because you're not having to process the food, the fiber of the food, so that saves on energy. So it's energy by conservation. So you have this availability of energy all throughout the day because you're not getting any of those lulls as a result of eating solid food. And I suppose the peristaltic function of the digestive system as well isn't in operation because it's just fluids going through. There are people who've reported doing this for 90 days, just juice, and maybe longer. But juice feasting, they call it. Juice feasting because you're having as much juice as you want throughout the day, maybe 5 liters, something like this. So obviously you're going to go to the toilet quite a bit, drinking that amount of fluid. But you're probably going to be better hydrated than you have been in years, and you'll feel the benefits of that. And flexibility, just overall function will be better. And I recommend it. I recommend juice feasting for anybody who doesn't want to try fasting straight away, like no food. They want to still have an availability of energy throughout the day, but they want to have the regenerative and restorative benefits of fasting. A good amount of them. You won't get them all because if you still have your glycogen stores up, you don't go into ketosis. And so you won't go into, I think they call it autophagy, where the body will actually, I just want to double check before I start talking about that. Autophagy, but I think it is, so it's basically the things that are that have become substandard or in some ways defective will be processed and consumed by the body as food. Actually, it's quite amazing. So you look at that, and here's a definition. It's a more wordy definition. Autophagy is a natural cellular mechanism by which the cells in our body degrade unnecessary or damaged components within the cell. So that could be scar tissue. It could be, I don't know, bacteria. Could be many things. So the best way of looking at it is something that the body deems a foreign agent or operating defectively. So again, autophagy is a natural cellular mechanism by which the cells in our body degrade unnecessary or damaged components within the cell. The process of autophagy helps maintain normal functioning homeostasis in the cell. I'm not sure the etymology of the word homeostasis. Have a look. As soon as we mention it, homeostasis. The tendency towards a relatively stable equilibrium between interdependent, so they depend on each other, elements, especially as maintained by physiological processes. That means like the workings of the body. So homeostasis, another definition. Look for 2 or 3 definitions. Homeostasis, any self-regulating process by which biological systems tend to maintain stability. But it doesn't really give us the etymology of the word. Stasis, like. I'm not seeing how that's tied in. Stasis, like. No, homeos, like, stasis. I don't know what stasis means. Let's have a look. Stasis. Slowing down. Period or state of inactivity or equilibrium. So stasis would be, yeah, so it's like balance like. that's what the word means. A balance like thing. So, autophagy is a natural cellular mechanism by which the cells in our body degrade unnecessary or damaged components within the cell. The process of autophagy helps maintain normal functioning homeostasis in the cell. So, like something balance like, because balance, we know balance is like it's exact thing, but if it's balance like it, because it could be something that's moving. So, something being balance like would be something that's moving in a particular way, I think, like a normal way. The term autophagy literally means self-eating, not cannibalism, self-eating. So the body will actually consume parts of itself that are defective. Isn't this amazing? And most people don't even think about fasting. Imagine, the body is not only healing as you go, but the more the less things you ask it to do, the more healthy it will be. Now, in the sense of internal workings. So, like, obviously moving, physical activity is good to a degree, and then you get diminishing returns. So recovery. So your rate of recovery should be the main focus of your training, actually. And then build on your activities after that. So that should be the basis. So, obviously that will improve as you train, etc., etc. So there are variable factors. But talking about the inner workings of the body, the less you give your body to do, because people say, if somebody's like, if somebody's watching the mainstream, you have to have, breakfast, most important meal of the day, big breakfast, early in the morning, boom. So you just come out of a fasted state and you're like, sleeping, and then hit your digestive system, boom, with this big breakfast. And you're like, whoa. So all the blood rushes to the stomach then to try and deal with that. And you're just trying to get your day started. So you're like, where's the coffee? Because the coffee opens up the capillaries of the brain. Your brain gets more blood and you think you're energetic, but you're still sluggish, kind of half alert, going around the place. So actually, if you go without breakfast, you'll have more energy than if you go with breakfast. There's one for you. Because you don't get the energy from your breakfast right away. It has to be digested. Could take 2.5 hours to even digest it. You ain't seeing the energy of that for way, way later. So why don't you eat way, way later? Right? And eat something that's metabolized more quickly. That makes sense. So once you work out that formula, actually, then you're on the ball. You know the the physiological workings of the digestive system. You know the timings in your body, the circadian rhythms, and how they relate to the sun, actually. So getting up in the morning, having a big meal, and you're like, vroom, it's going to hit you like a truck, so to speak. But if you don't have that meal till far later in the day, you know, you'll talk to people who say, I've never ate breakfast my whole life. They're just not breakfast eaters. They naturally gravitate towards not eating breakfast. I remember I kind of had to start teaching myself to eat breakfast. You do, and then your body goes, all right, if you're going to keep asking me to do this, I'll learn to do this. But it's certainly not ideal. I can say that with 100% certainty. It's not ideal to have a big, big breakfast in the morning. So now there's a lad as well who'll say, I've always had my bowl of porridge first thing in the morning, and he'll be 70 odd. So it's the ideal. It doesn't mean that your body won't get used to whatever you're asking it to do, but it's the ideal to delay your meal. Now, he might only have a small bowl of porridge and then eat much later in the day. So when you think about that, then he's not actually really heavily burdening his body either with a small bowl of porridge. Do you see? But getting up and having a fry, or getting up and thinking, oh, you have to have an egg and a this and a that, and oh, sure, this and the pancakes, and you're having the big breakfast. No. You have your biggest meal of the day, if you want to know the ideal way of managing your digestive system, is to have your biggest meal during a specific window, and that window is 12 and 6 o'clock. Now that's quite a window. Ideally towards the mid-afternoon. That would be the sun at its zenith, its highest point in the sky up over you. And your digestive system it's on burning on all cylinders then at that time of the day. And if you look at your ancestors, recent ancestors, granny and granddad even, if you're my age, they would have been having their dinner. I don't know exactly about my own granny and granddad, but a lot of people of that generation would have been having their dinner about that kind of 2 o'clock mark in the day. The largest meal of the day, 2 or 4 o'clock. And now people get up, bang, big breakfast. Then they go for a sizable lunch, dunk, then a big dinner, dunk, then they have something for tea, blunk. 3, 4 meals a day. And sluggish, and relying on then the adrenal glands, the adrenaline, to keep them going. So they're having the coffees and the stimulants to keep them going, to keep them ticking over while they're digesting all that food. And it's just totally unnecessary to eat that much food. So your body will actually function better with less food. You'll have more energy. There's less potential for guttural issues in life in general. IBS, IBD. When I say in life, I mean you may never come up, you may never face them, ever. You totally avoid IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. You might be somebody who can eat whatever they want their whole life and never have a problem. But in terms of IBS or IBD, but a lot of people do. They have problems with their bowel, and it's because the gut gets run down. There's wear and tear in the gut, and it's broken down because it's so sensitive. So once it starts getting broken down, then there's an autoimmune response, and that autoimmune response tends to build if the degree of damage in the gut doesn't heal. Like autoimmune reaction tends to build. There's not a strict rule on that, because somebody might have an allergy, then it goes away. That might be the body raising an alarm to say this is not optimal. And then because you keep eating that food, the body would say, right, it's still coming in. There's no point kind of to keep raising the alarm when the food's going in anyway. So that kind of recedes back. And then if if it depends, I suppose, on the source of the autoimmune response. If it's wear and tear and damage to the gut, and the gut continues to get damaged because you're not resting, fasting, allowing it to heal. It's like any damage to the body, it needs time to heal. And if you're continuing to interfere with that, and that would be eating large bulk meals regularly throughout the day, roughage, excessive roughage. Roughage, it's in the name. It's rough. It's hard on the gut, because it's fibrous, and this is promoted. Yes, get all your fiber. You need roughage to stay regular. No, not all fiber is made equally, right? So there are different types of fibers that are more easily moved, passed through the gut. They're more soluble. So like fruit fibers and things like that are really easy for the body to move through the gut. And that's obviously our ideal food, would be fruit. But so back to autophagy. So autophagy is a natural cellular mechanism by which the cells in our body degrade unnecessary or damaged components within the cell. The process of autophagy helps maintain normal functioning, homeostasis, state of balance, balance-like state in the cell. The term autophagy literally means self-eating. So now let's just think about that for a second. Your body has the ability to go after defective cells and consume them when you stop eating. That is stunning. Scar tissue, right? Defective immune cells. So it is known that a 3 days going without food can totally revamp your immune system. Just 72 hours without food. And I'm saying just, but if it's the first time you've done it, it could be a very tough 72 hours. Especially the first time you do it. Having said that, once ketosis kicks in on day 4, which is when it normally kicks in for most people, you start consuming body fat. And even a thin person has 6 weeks worth of body fat on them. It'll be visceral, be adipose tissue, intramuscular tissue. Is that the right term? I think it is. Like there's bits of fat in between the muscles. Or no? What's it called? I don't know, so I won't say. I'll have a look at that. Intramuscular. Something's telling me that term's not right. I'm not using the right term. Yeah, subcutaneous was the word I was looking for. The subcutaneous layers of fat. So it's the fat here that you can pinch on your arm. That's the subcutaneous, under the skin. So your body will use this. So there's 3 different types of fat. Some of the fat you store in your body, you can't even see. It's insulatory fat. It's inside, it's behind the abdominal wall. So knowing this, that there's most people, like relatively slim people, would have 6 weeks worth of fat easily to live off. There's no excuse or reason, unless you're type 1 diabetic or on other life-supporting medication, that you can't do a 3-day fast. 3 days, 72 hours without food. It'd be the making of you. You'll actually, when you come out the other side of the fast, you'll be younger at a cellular level. Think about that. You'll have grown older in time, but you'll be younger on a cellular level. Isn't that stunning? You'll have a new immune system. Think about that for a second. A new immune system in 3 days. 3 days without food, and you have a new immune system. That is stunning. And this is known information. I'm reading off websites here. Like, you can Google this yourself and you'll see lots and lots. But this stuff isn't in the mainstream because, it doesn't support a lot of the companies that are out there. It doesn't support their product line, if you know what I'm saying. It doesn't support their income. Right. So now that you know what autophagy is, and you know that 3 days of a fast can help you, beloved of God, those who would be inclined towards fasting, more so than the general massive, get fasting. Yeah, at least remove breakfast, early breakfast, big bulky early breakfast. Get that out of your life, and watch how less burdened you are, how much more energy you'll have at your disposal. It's stunning. I remember when I was doing fasting. What is it now? Three years ago. Something like that. A long time ago now, when I started juice fasting. It seems like a long time ago because I've been through so many changes. But it's stunning to see how the body comes back to life and how the body absolutely thrives on natural sugars. It thrives. Did you know that every cell in your body runs on sugar? But not all sugar is made equally. There's natural sugar, there's fructose, there's sugar that's manufactured, there's synthetic sugar, and that's the stuff that you want to stay away from. The synthetic stuff. You want the whole food sugars. The whole food sugars. Like, I was doing carrot juice, and I found when you juice the carrot, it comes out liquid and a little bit of the fibre. And the fibre tends to sit at the top with carrot juice, I think. So you can tend to skim it off, if I'm recollecting correctly. And then you drink this. Now with the carrot juice, there's not a lot of starch. So you'll drink your carrot juice and you'll get a rush. You'll go, whoa! You'll get so much energy. And you'll be really well hydrated throughout the day. So you're talking, you get a litre into you in the morning, litre of carrot juice. And just your day would go totally differently. I mean, in terms of your energy, you'd be better hydrated. You'd have your glycogen stores be right up, because it only takes, when you drink a juice, a carrot juice, it only takes, they say, 15 to 20 minutes to actually have that energy available in your cell. So when you think about that, it takes 2.5 hours to digest some meals that you'd sit down to, but it takes 15 minutes to have that energy you've just drank available to you. That's a completely different economy of energy and a different availability of energy. Just understanding that. Now, if you have carrot juice, you tend to get a burst of energy in your blood. You tend to get a whole lot of energy, and you get a big boost, a big rush. And then with sweet potato, it's a lot sweeter, but because there's starch in it, I found this myself when I was juicing it. Because there's starch in it, the starch slows the uptake of the sugar, so you don't get as much of a peak. But that also means that the energy is much more balanced, and you don't get a low. So, because obviously it's not natural to drink when you think about it, when you juice a carrot, you're processing the carrot, so it's not in its natural state. So you're getting carrot juice, which is a processed drink. But when you juice the sweet potato, because you get the starch with it, it kind of takes the place of the fiber and slows the uptake of the sugar. And it just slows it enough. The presence of starch in the sweet potato juice just slows the uptake of sugar enough so that you're much more balanced throughout the day when you're juice fasting. So I'd recommend to have it. You might find it very sweet to taste, but I would add some sweet potato into your carrot juice and have that in the morning, and you'll notice a serious difference. Now, I'm speaking to people especially who have terrible digestive health. So this can change that person's life. Like, it's not just um, for energy, just for energy. This can really take away, like, somebody who's suffering, who's having a difficult existence, because you take it for granted when your bowels are functioning properly. But when they start malfunctioning, you really notice that it can hinder the quality of life that you have. So if you can, simply by preparing a juice and understanding the physiology of that, the timings, etc., then you can really begin to steward your body better. And I went through a process of making mistakes doing this stuff. So I've put together my findings in a book. It's called The Raw Ideal. And there's a good amount of information in there. It touches on the most common deficiencies, nutritional deficiencies, and deals with them as a matter of first importance. And also deals with other things that will help you to steward your body better. And that's what the book is all about. The majority of information out in the mainstream is there. It's partial information. It's not exactly a lie, but by omission, it doesn't lead you to healthful living and feeling in control of your physiology and being a good steward of your body. You're kind of at the behest and at the mercy of how well your body can adapt to improper eating habits. Okay, so whilst I don't tell people, you shouldn't eat meat, and you can't eat that, and you can't eat this, you can't eat that. What I do is I've presented a book that shows a person how to steward their body better, especially when their digestive system isn't working, isn't functioning properly. Have they got acne? Have they got terrible acne on their face? Stop consuming oils and dairy. Stop it. Cut it out of your diet. If you have very bad acne face, cut out the fat. You have a lymphatic issue. You're not processing the synthetic oils very well. You need to remove the oils. Oils are 100% fat. They're viscous. So if your lymphatic system doesn't function optimally, if you're not a very active person, or you just naturally don't kind of process oils very well, your body will try to purge them, and that might be through your face. So also I would look at a hormonal issue. I would look at supplementing with zinc. There are a number of things you can do. When we have a trauma in our life, we lose a lot of zinc. That can affect a lot of different functions in your body. So I would get enough zinc into me. So get zinc into you, cut down the oils, and you should remove the acne. Cut down the dairy, you should remove the acne. And you probably find that people who have acne and things like that do consume a lot of fat. They may not be overweight, but they consume a lot of fat. Yogurts, milk, oils, olive oil on the salad, olive oil on everything, coleslaw, something, mayonnaise, something will be their go-to, and they'll suffer pimples because the lymphatic system is like the sewage system of the bloodstream, and so it kind of deals with the removal of excess fat from the blood as well. So when you consume fat, the blood thickens because fat is a viscous substance, thickens the blood, that slows the heart, and that's why people gravitate towards fat because it calms them. It's have you heard the term emotional eater? Somebody will tend towards a dessert and they'll sit then and they go quiet. It slows the heart because the heart naturally slows if the blood is thicker. Because if it's trying to pump the blood at the same rate and now the blood is a thicker substance, well that wouldn't work very well. It could do damage, it could rupture something. So to avoid that type of a circumstance, the brain will identify this, and the body's amazing, and the heart will slow down, and you're feeling that sedative effect, that slowing of the heart when you have something fatty, and that's why we go no, 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 slow down and get food coma. It's not good for your health in general. It's not good for your energies, and it slows you down, kind of dumbs you down. It does. Um, so there's a good stewardship of the body. There's getting your macronutrient ratios right. Some people eat whatever they like for years. I did it. And then I was 30 and I hit a wall. Book. And I hit a wall. I wasn't going to the toilet like at all for weeks. I was like, this can't continue. So I started to research and found that I was writing a book eventually. But because it's something, when you go through something, you think, wow, are there others going through this too? And then you want to share your findings. Naturally, you'd want to share your findings if they're going to help somebody. So it's called The Raw Ideal. If you input The Raw Ideal into Google, you should find my book. Hardback copy, or I think it's in digital format as well on Amazon. It's available there if it's something you want to look at, something you want to read. It could vastly help you with your stewardship of your body and to deal with a multitude of ailments that are as a result of your diet. And the majority of ailments will be meal times, and they'll have a guttural origin or a mineral origin. So there'll be a mineral issue that needs resolving. There'll be a guttural issue that needs resolving. Generally, the guttural issue can be resolved by removing a grain or something that's irritating the gut lining. And so, if you can imagine that the gut lining gets irritated and inflamed, and then roughage goes through and like scratching the inflamed gut might cause it to become damaged. And over time, if it's continuing to be damaged, there's a disease called leaky gut syndrome, leaky gut syndrome. It is what it says it is, leaky gut. So there are undigested particles of food passing through the gut lining that otherwise wouldn't have. And so the body is identifying these food particles as foreign bodies, foreign agents. And so it's having an immune response. And so because the nature of the immune system is it learns the structure, the composition of what it believes is attacking the body, the foreign agent. And then it creates an antibody to attack and remove this pathogen, or foreign agent. Well, if the foreign agent is a protein that's been undigested, because now it's getting through the gut, well then you're made out of protein too. So now you've got a polymer, which means a molecule with many parts, a protein, and you've got your body attacking a cell, pretty much, and then it turns on you because you're made out of the same stuff, protein. And then the body attacks your organs and things, and you start literally attacking yourself. Well, you could call this a defective system. This is a system that's now attacking itself. So what do you do? Well, the majority of people would say, I've gone to the doctor, I've got an autoimmune disease. I've got autoimmune disease, and then they're treating the symptoms. But the root cause of the autoimmune disease is a perforated or a compromised gut lining. The integrity of the gut lining has been damaged, and there are things passing through that shouldn't be passing through, and generating an immune response which shouldn't be there. So there are two things that need to be addressed here now. And the first, and they're both addressed by one practice. That practice is fasting. In 3 days, your immune system is rebuilt. Those defective antibodies removed. And if you remove what's causing those antibodies to be produced, or think about this, fasting, it's like you stop picking a scab on your knee and it heals. So you're fasting, there's no more roughage going through your gut. Your gut has an opportunity to heal. Even reducing the volume that you eat at your meals, how frequently you eat, and the likes. So really what you're trying to do is increase the amount of time your digestive system is inactive. And that's done by reducing the amount you eat and how often you eat, and taking care of when you eat. So if you think about it, when you're asleep, you sleep for 8 hours, you fast. So if you can extend that time, then you have more fasted time that has been unbroken. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for long stints where you haven't eaten, because that's where the healing will take place, in that window of time. So it's like, you say, oh, my knee hurts, and you get a little from your mother, stop picking it. Leave it alone, it won't heal. So that's pretty much what I'm saying to you. If you give your gut a rest, it'll heal. And then you go in and you reboot the immune system. Now, if you don't do that, and your immune system's attacking your body for a long period of time, now it has been doing damage for a longer period of time. So there's a cumulative damage, and that can take longer to heal. But you've got to address the root of the problem. And the root of the problem is you're reaping what you're sowing because of your bad stewardship. And the Bible tells us that. It says you will reap what you sow. The Bible tells us to fast. So eat less, drink more. Water, not wine. Drink more water. So if there were only 3 things I could tell you to help you to maintain your body better. Fast. Get a hair mineral test done. You get one done online. Send away your hair. They give you a readout. You'll see by the readout, you should be able to see by the readout, that minerals are intra-connected. Some of them are intra-connected and others are interconnected. So intra-connected would mean every one of my fingers was attached to every other finger. Whereas interconnected just means joined together. It would be something like intra-connected would be something like that. I don't think I can do it with my fingers, but to give you an idea, rough idea. So every finger, everything would be attached to everything else. You probably can do it if you do it like that. So every finger is touching every other finger. That's intraconnectivity. So if one mineral was antagonistic to another mineral, which was then antagonistic to 3 other minerals, then one mineral being out of balance could knock all the others out of whack. But if you resolve that one mineral that's out of whack, all the others will naturally, over some time, I don't know how long, resolve themselves. Especially with fasting, because fasting removes an excess of things. Because it's a process of accelerated detoxification and homeostasis. We learned that word today. So there are things you can do. You don't always have to be a slave to this medical system. You don't. You can be a good steward of your body, and you can do what people were doing there for yonks. There was wisdom in it. They weren't just, unevolved, simpletons. There was wisdom in it. Blessings, beloved. Fast and pray until the Lord of the house returns. A holy kiss.